You know what blows my mind? Farmers globally are paying twice for the same feed, shipping grain out, then buying it back as feed. But there's a fascinating solution that's transforming agriculture, and it starts with understanding maize silage.
Tell me more about how that double cost system works. It seems like such an obvious inefficiency once you point it out.
Well, here's the thing. Farmers harvest their maize, pay to transport it to storage facilities or co-ops, then later end up buying back processed feed that often contains the same grain they sold. The South African data from 2023 really highlights how this cycle affects profitability.
So breaking that cycle must create some serious cost savings.
That's exactly right. And this is where maize silage becomes such a game changer. The 2023 Sanlam Agriculture competition showed how farmers are achieving up to 40% starch content while keeping everything right on their own land.
Those are impressive numbers. What makes maize particularly suitable for this approach?
Well, it comes down to three key factors: yield efficiency, nutrient density, and fermentation characteristics. The data shows maize produces more digestible nutrients per hectare than almost any other silage crop.
You know what's really interesting about those yield numbers? How do they compare to traditional grain-only systems?
That's where things get fascinating. When you look at the total digestible nutrients, or TDN, maize silage averages around 37.5% dry matter content. And here's the surprising part. As the plant matures, it actually gets more efficient through what they call the dilution effect.
Hold on, that seems counterintuitive. How does getting drier make it more efficient?
So picture this. As the maize plant matures, the starch content in the grain increases dramatically. Even though fiber levels might rise slightly, that huge boost in starch essentially dilutes the overall fiber impact, giving you more energy per kilogram.
Well, that explains why timing the harvest becomes so critical then.
Exactly right. And the competition data really drives this home. We saw dry matter ranging from 27% all the way up to 53%. That's an enormous spread that directly impacts fermentation quality and nutrient preservation.
Speaking of fermentation, what makes maize particularly good for silage compared to other crops?
Now, this is where the science gets really interesting. The data showed water-soluble carbohydrate levels averaging 3.58%. That's basically perfect fuel for the beneficial bacteria that drive fermentation. They achieved average pH levels of 3.80, which is absolutely ideal for long-term preservation.
Though I imagine getting to those perfect numbers isn't always straightforward.
That's the thing. The final numbers can look great, but hide serious inefficiencies. Think of it like running a marathon. Crossing the finish line is important, but how you ran the race matters just as much for your overall performance.
So what are the key markers farmers should watch for during the process?
Well, beyond just pH, you want to look at lactic acid levels. The competition showed averages of 5.72% dry matter, with acetic acid around 2.19%. But here's the crucial part. Speed matters. Every hour of slow fermentation means lost nutrients and reduced feed value.
You know, this really highlights how farming is this incredible blend of science and practical experience.
That's exactly it. And what fascinates me is how this seemingly simple process of preserving feed actually requires such precise understanding of biochemistry, timing, and economics. The South African competition really showed the difference between good and great results.
Looking ahead, what do you think this means for the future of livestock farming?
Well, I think we're seeing a shift toward more integrated, science-based approaches that optimize both nutrition and economics. The data suggests farmers who master these processes can significantly reduce their dependence on external feed sources while improving quality.
That's quite a transformation from the traditional buy and sell cycle we started discussing.
And that brings us full circle. Sometimes the best solutions aren't about revolutionary new technologies, but about understanding and optimizing processes we've been using for generations. The hidden efficiencies we've discussed today in maize silage might just be the tip of the iceberg.
Makes you wonder what other agricultural practices might be due for this kind of detailed analysis and optimization.
Absolutely right. And that's perhaps the biggest takeaway here. Whether you're a farmer or not, this story shows how questioning traditional practices and diving deep into the science can reveal opportunities for improvement that have been hiding in plain sight all along.